Today's case is one that involves a love triangle, and we know how these ones always end, but what makes today's case a little different is the massive manhunt that followed the crime and the killer's determination in trying to get away with it. Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Zara and I talk about true crime. So if you're interested, I would love you to hit that subscribe button and join the fam. Also, make sure to hit the like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. I watched so many videos and articles on this case. All I could see in my mind for a few days at one point was this woman's face. So it was nice to take my mind off the heavy stuff and reset my brain by playing a game I have to concentrate and focus on. Screw Jam is a strategic puzzle game where you remove and match screws to get through levels. You then build the city with the screws you collect. It's a game that tests your problem solving and thinking skills. It's free to download and you don't need Wi-Fi, so you can play the game anywhere at any time. It's perfect for on the go, like on the plane when you don't have Wi-Fi or when you're waiting in line somewhere. I got through so many levels while waiting in line at the bank. I swear it always takes forever. Screw Jam is easy to learn, but the difficulty increases with each level, so it keeps you on your toes. I love that each level tests your attention to detail and is engaging, colorful, and fun. You can enjoy exciting in-game events where you complete levels, earn points, and unlock rewards like boosters, coins, and hearts. It even has a rating of 4.7 on the App Store with tons of reviews. If you download Screw Jam using my link below or by scanning this QR code, you will also get 3 hours of infinite life and 100 coins. Thank you so much to Screw Jam for sponsoring today's video, and I hope you guys enjoy the game, and thanks for your support. So, since it's a love triangle, there are 3 people involved in this case, but let's begin by talking about Moriah Wilson. Anna Moriah Wilson was born on May 18, 1996 in Littleton, New Hampshire to her parents Eric and Karen, and she had a brother named Matthew. She grew up in Kirby, Vermont and graduated from Burke Mountain Academy in 2014 and from Dartmouth College in 2019 with a Bachelor in Engineering. Moriah grew up in a family of athletes where playing outdoors and being athletic was a significant part of their lives. Growing up this way encouraged her love for sports and the outdoors from a very young age. She dreamed of becoming an Olympic skier, and her family and friends supported her in this dream. They believed in her. She was of the belief that if things were meant to be, it would be, and that everything happens for a reason. Moriah fulfilled her childhood dream by joining the Dartmouth Alpine ski team, but she ended up tearing her ACL a few times throughout school and college. And even though she committed to rehab, she had to eventually change her vision. She decided that instead she would become a professional cyclist. In less than 3 years of gravel and mountain bike racing, she became so well known. She quickly made a name for herself and became a rising star in the scene in America. She became known in the cycling world due to her exceptional talent and was considered one of the top athletes in her profession. Moriah was extremely hardworking. She was passionate. She had a vibrant spirit that left a mark on everyone she encountered. Enter Colin Strickland. Colin was born on November 7th, 1986 in Texas, and he grew up on a farm. He too was a successful bicycle racer specializing in gravel racing and criterium events. He became the first racer in Dirty Kansas history to complete the 200-mile event in under 10 hours. Colin was 35 years old. He was 6'2", 170 pounds. He was a good-looking guy. He only started cycling professionally in his early 20s, and when he actually started riding a bike in high school, it was more as a way to get around. It wasn't for any future career. When he wasn't cycling, he worked at his own company called Wheelhouse Mobile, which was a trailer restoration company. So my family recently got into riding bikes again. I mean, I haven't ridden a bike in like 15 years, but we all got electric bikes and we're having so much fun. So it kind of got me interested in what different types of bike racing there are. So let's quickly talk about what gravel bike racing is. So it's basically a type of bike race that makes cycling more difficult really than it already is. It's like an all-terrain race, mountains, roads, water. It's hard. And both Colin and Moriah were good at it. Colin was so good, in fact, he had many sponsors, including Red Bull, which spends hundreds of millions of dollars a year sponsoring sporting events. During this time, Colin had a long-term girlfriend named Kaitlin Armstrong. Enter Kaitlin. Kaitlin was born on November 21st, 1987 in Livonia, Michigan, and she had a background as a yoga teacher and a licensed realtor. She went to Stevenson High School, graduating in 2005, and then she went off to uni at Schoolcraft College and Eastern Michigan University. 34-year-old Kaitlin, she looked gorgeous, and she had a little help in that department, which led to her facing some criminal charges in her past. In March 2018, she essentially Botoxed and dashed. She received a $650 Botox procedure at a clinic, and when she went to pay, she handed over a MasterCard, but said she wanted to use another credit card that she left in her car. So she left the clinic to go get her other card and never returned. A year after that, in 2019, she met Colin online. Now they hit it off, but their relationship was quite tumultuous at times, and they would often be on again and off again. And Colin has said that at times their relationship was extremely comfortable and loving, but he wasn't exactly sure if it was really meant to be. But Colin was protective of Kaitlin and encouraged her to pursue her dreams in life. When the pandemic hit in 2020, the couple grew closer, they spent more time together, and Colin introduced Kaitlin to gravel racing. Soon, she was able to follow him on his long training rides, and in 2021, Kaitlin would move in with Colin into his apartment. And this wasn't because they were trying to move on and take the next step in their relationship. Kaitlin's apartment had flooded at the time, and it was more of a necessity. They even bought a house together as an investment, and Kaitlin would help Colin manage his finances and his company. And because of this, she had access to his phone and computer passwords. Even though Colin seemed to be doing all the things that seemed to progress this relationship, again, he wasn't really sure if he was in it for the long haul. But Kaitlin, on the other hand, she was in love with him. She wanted him. She believed he was the one. There has been some backlash on Colin for his behavior in the relationship. I mean, they were both in their mid-30s. Kaitlin was ready to settle down. It probably was not the right time for Colin to screw with her. And that's if you believe that he was intentionally leading her on and kind of just keeping her there, as many people online seem to believe that that's where Colin went wrong. Then in the fall of 2021, at the end of September, Colin ended things with Kaitlin, although they still lived together. That same month, Colin was at a 3-day gravel race in Idaho, and over here is where he meets Moriah. They had both competed in that race, with Moriah winning the event, and he found Moriah to have a lot of talent and wanted to help her connect with more sponsors, which is something he claimed he often did when he made friends with both male and female cyclists. A few days later, in October 2021, Moriah sent Colin a text letting him know that she was coming down to Austin and if he would like to catch up with her. When Moriah arrived in Austin and found out that Colin was now newly single, as was she at the time, she was interested in him. The two of them then began a short romance. It was only for a couple of weeks while Moriah was down in Austin, and they were intimate during this time. But Colin was aware that if Kaitlin saw him with Moriah, it would not be good, given they were still working on cutting ties, and it would be pretty shit of him to flaunt a new woman right in her face. Kaitlin lived in a separate room in their apartment and was looking for a new place to live during this time. Now, Kaitlin knew about his little fling with Moriah. I don't know how, but it seems that everyone knew Colin was out with Moriah. They were only broken up for a couple of weeks, and here's Colin dating a new chick in their hometown in front of everyone. I have to also mention Caitlin's sister, Christy. She sent this text to a friend when Colin was seen with Moriah. So she says in this text message, "Who does Colin think he is? Breaking up with Kaitlin and then seeing this girl from Instagram?" So clearly her sister Christy also had a problem with Colin. So Kaitlin then gets Moriah's phone number and calls her and tells her to stay away from Colin. In fact, she called so many times that Moriah eventually had to block her number. Then, over the Christmas holidays at the end of 2021 and early into 2022, Colin and Kaitlin began to reconnect. They did live together after all, but Colin still considered himself single and would firmly tell Kaitlin that they were not back together during this time. In January, they went away for the Cyclocross World Championships in Bentonville, and Moriah was also present at this event. The entire situation was awkward for everyone, and Kaitlin told her friend Jacqueline at the event that she wanted to kill Moriah. Now, what I should also mention is that in December 2021, Colin bought a gun for Kaitlin, a 9mm P365 pistol. He also purchased ammunition for the gun labeled 9mm JAG, a bullet that was designed to break apart on impact and cause additional harm inside the body, increasing the chances that it would kill its intended target. Now, the reason for this, according to Colin, is that Kaitlin had some incidents in the past, some road rage incidents, some men following her, and she was afraid to bike alone, etc. He wanted her to feel safe, and he felt that he had a privilege as a man to not worry about his safety when he was alone. And he understood Kaitlin's paranoia, and in Texas, totally okay to have a gun, so he was like, "Here, have a gun." The weekend after Kaitlin saw Moriah for the first time at that event, she went to a shooting range with her sister Christy to practice with her new gun. Now, after this biking event where Moriah saw Colin back with Kaitlin, she was left confused and then sent him this text. She said, "Hey, so I would like to talk to you at some point. This weekend was strange for me and I just want to know what's going on. If you just want to be friends, seems to be the case, then that's cool, but I'd like to talk about it because honestly, my mind has been going in circles and I don't know what to think." Colin kind of just apologized for the confusion. He never really explained the situation further. And then around March, April 2022, over the springtime, Colin and Kaitlin rekindled their relationship. Colin claims that at the time he made it clear to Moriah that they would just remain friends. They saw each other only in public settings at cycling events, and Colin would say, "Moriah and I are both leaders in this lonely niche sport of cycling, and I admire her greatly and I consider her a close friend." On May 10th, 2022, Moriah had flown back into Austin, Texas to participate in the Gravel Locos, which was a 150-mile or 241-kilometer bike race on 14th May. Moriah had contacted Colin to let him know that she was coming, as he was also due to participate in this race. He decided at this time to delete all his old messages from her and change her name in his phone. He felt he needed to do this to avoid any drama with Kaitlin. What he didn't realize is that Kaitlin had access to his phone, computer, etc. His text messages from his phone would pop up on his laptop as well. So she was able to read everything. Moriah would be staying with her friend Kaitlin Cash, so let's call her Kat. And on May 11th, Colin invited Moriah to come check out a place called Deep Eddy in Austin for a swim. So Deep Eddy is a historic man-made swimming pool and the oldest swimming pool in Austin, actually. And Colin thought it would be fun to show Moriah this. So that day, Moriah messaged her friend Kat, who wasn't at home, and told her that she would be meeting up with her friend Colin for a swim. Kat came back home before Moriah actually left to meet up with Colin, and then she left the house again at 5:30 p.m. After a dentist appointment that afternoon, Colin arrives at Kat's house to pick up Moriah on his BMW motorcycle at around 6 p.m. and they then drove down together to this pool. After the pool, they went to a bar called Pool Burger where they ordered food and rum cocktails. At this time, Kaitlin called Colin and he knew it was going to be awkward, so he didn't answer her call. After dinner, he then drove Moriah back to Kat's place and then he went home. So one could argue that they had just met up as friends. Moriah walked into Kat's apartment and used a code to unlock the door. Kat, who was at dinner with friends, got a notification on her phone that her door had been unlocked at 8:36 p.m. At around 10 p.m., Kat returned home. She saw that the door to her apartment was unlocked. So she enters her apartment and she finds Moriah on the bathroom floor, surrounded in a pool of blood. The police were called immediately and they found 3 bullet casings on the floor next to Moriah's body, marked 9mm JAG. Moriah had been shot twice in the head. A 3rd bullet had entered her chest and exited through her back. She had a cut on her right index finger and another beneath her chin, and the 3rd bullet was found lodged in a cracked tile underneath Moriah. Someone had stood over Moriah and fired towards her heart. Moriah was dead. Police also found Moriah's expensive bike, which was originally in the apartment, placed down the road, hidden behind some bushes. So, was it a robbery gone wrong? Moriah's murder did not become public till 3 days later, and when it did, rumors began swirling in the cycling community about a love triangle involving Moriah, Colin, and Kaitlin, which eventually led to Moriah's murder. Police then found CCTV footage of a black SUV circling Kat's apartment. This same SUV stopped outside the home 1 minute after Moriah entered the home. Was it following her? Also, the door to Kat's apartment was left unlocked by Moriah once she entered the home. Police then met up with Colin, who explained his time with Moriah and that he dropped her back at Kat's place at about 8:30 p.m. He stated after that he was headed home, and on his way back home, he sent his girlfriend Kaitlin a message saying, "Hey, are you out? I went to drop some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north and my phone died. Heading home unless you have another food suggestion." Now, this was obviously his way to cover up being out with Moriah that evening. They then showed Colin the footage of the dark SUV outside Kat's place, the same SUV they saw sitting in his driveway. He identified this SUV as belonging to his girlfriend, Kaitlin. He stated that on the night of the murder, Kaitlin got home at around 9:20 p.m. wearing yoga clothes, that she initiated sex with him that night, but she was particularly rough and dominating, which was unusual for her. He didn't mind it at the time, but after finding out about Moriah's murder, he felt sick. When he was informed Moriah was dead, he realized he was the last person to see her alive. Police also recovered a gun from Colin's apartment. The gun was then tested and it matched the bullet casings found at the crime scene. Police initially suspected Colin, but after the SUV sighting, the gun, and the remarks that Kaitlin had made to her friend months earlier about wanting to kill Moriah, these were all the reasons the police needed to bring Kaitlin in for questioning. So on May 12th, the day after Moriah's murder, they arrested Kaitlin on an outstanding warrant for that unpaid Botox bill from back in 2018. When she was in custody, they questioned her about Moriah's murder. But Kaitlin didn't say much, no explanation, didn't confirm or even deny anything during the interview, and the police just had to let her go. Then the day after the interview on May 13th, Kaitlin sold her Jeep at a South Austin CarMax dealership for $12,000. And by Tuesday, May 17th, 6 days after the murder, the police felt they had enough to arrest Kaitlin and they began looking for her again. By then, it was too late, guys. She was gone. It was now clear to everyone that Kaitlin killed Moriah in a fit of jealous rage. The thought of losing her man to another woman, a younger, more successful woman, was too much to bear for Kaitlin. So she got her ass out of there. Before even having a chance to be interviewed for the second time, she was gone. If that doesn't scream guilt, I don't know what does. Kaitlin deleted all of her social media accounts. She shut down Colin's business website as well and was last seen on May 13th by Colin. On Saturday, May 14th, Kaitlin took a plane out of Austin, changed planes in Houston, and boarded a Southwest flight to New York. The very next day, using someone else's passport, Kaitlin traveled to Costa Rica, stopping in Yaco Beach before she left for Santa Teresa, which was a vacation destination on the Pacific coast. A small, beautiful little fishing town with only about 3,000 residents. Very quickly and very clearly, Kaitlin was like, not sticking around for my conviction, guys. I'm just gonna head on out of here. Kaitlin spent over a month bouncing around between different hostels and yoga studios using several aliases. She introduced herself as Ari to the locals and other travelers, and she stayed at a hotel called Don John's. This was where she spent majority of the time, and over here she spent most of her days on her laptop in the hotel's lobby, sometimes joining others for drinks at local bars. Then, a few weeks later, she traveled to San Jose, where she spent more than $6,000 on facial plastic surgery to alter her appearance, and she went by the name Allison Page. She then stayed completely off the grid and went back to Don John's. The hunt was on. $21,000 was offered for any information leading to her arrest. It was alleged that her sister Christy helped her hide out. Christy worked at this place called Camp Haven near New York, and Kaitlin was spotted there in May before she vanished to Costa Rica. The sisters also looked very similar, so it's believed that Kaitlin used Christy's identifying information to escape. She was on the run for 43 days. On June 29th, 2022, Costa Rican authorities went door to door at the hostel she was staying at, and over here, they found Kaitlin with her red hair dyed dark brown and cut short. She had a bandage on her nose, and she claimed she was injured in a surfboard accident. Now, the police was very vague about the identity Kaitlin used in her escape. They didn't want to reveal the details to the public, but basically revealed the details. She clearly used her sister's passport. So Kaitlin faced further charges for misusing a passport. Kaitlin was then brought back to San Jose, where she eventually acknowledged that she was in fact the fugitive investigators were looking for, and she was then transferred to the custody of the U.S. Marshals, and then she was brought back to Texas. Her trial was set for June 2023. In the pre-trial hearing, Kaitlin's lawyers argued that she left the country legally. She was technically not under arrest at the time, and she did so to be with her family. She fled the country also because she believed that Colin was a suspect in Moriah's murder. Well, if that was truly the case, why did she leave the country using her sister's passport and change her appearance? Well, according to her, it was because she was terrified of her murderer boyfriend Colin, of course, not because she was guilty. Come on, guys, it's not her fault. During the trial, the prosecution stated that when Kaitlin became aware of this relationship forming between Colin and Moriah, no matter how brief it was, the fact that he remained friends with her intensified Kaitlin's feelings of jealousy and betrayal. This relationship had a lingering impact on Kaitlin. Moriah was a threat to her. She had put years into this relationship with Colin, and he would not commit to her. Moriah was younger, more successful, perhaps had more time to give Colin in respect to her youth, and pictures of Moriah were found in Kaitlin's phone. She was watching Moriah's every move. Her phone was also turned off at 7:30 p.m. and turned back on at 9:47 p.m. the night of the murder. It is believed that Kaitlin stalked Moriah at 4:53 p.m. on May 11th through Strava, which was a GPS-linked fitness app for cyclists and runners. And because Moriah was this well-known athlete, she had her account listed publicly. so Kaitlin was able to track wherever she was. She then followed her back to Kat's apartment, entered the home, and shot her 3 times, the third shot landing directly in Moriah's heart. So Colin then testified that although he did not believe Kaitlin to be a jealous, violent person, he still hid his friendship with Moriah from her and changed her name in his phone. People are also quite mad at Colin. There are claims that he was a womanizer and he should have been upfront with Kaitlin, ended the relationship permanently, as he was never going to be with her. Colin, however, claimed that he and Moriah were just platonic friends at the time of her murder. After this tragedy, Colin was dropped by his sponsors. He said, "I've never done anything to harm anybody, yet that's just the position I'm in, and there's no way to change that, unfortunately. It's unfortunate how my friendship with Moriah has been skewed out to be a salacious aspect to the story when in reality it wasn't the case." I don't believe Kaitlin's sister, Christy, got into any trouble for giving Kaitlin her passport, but she also said that in her testimony that her parents got divorced when she was a baby and that she and Kaitlin lived with her mother. She said that growing up, Kaitlin was like a second mother to her. So, she was just trying to protect her. On 17th November 2023, Kaitlin Armstrong was sentenced by a jury to 90 years in prison and to pay a $10,000 fine for the murder of Moriah Wilson. She was found guilty of first-degree murder. Kaitlin, okay, are you ready? Also tried to escape from custody before the trial began. She faked this leg injury, and while being transported to the doctor's office, she just bolted and tried to run away from 2 officers. She was then charged with escape and causing bodily injury to one of the officers. She was just a runner in her genetics. Moriah's mother, Karen, made a statement saying, "I miss her so much. I would have done anything to stand in the way of that bullet. She died alone on the floor at a friend's house. She did not deserve a death like that. She was someone so kind and brave, and she cared for others." Moriah did not have to die. She most likely would have never ended up in a relationship with Colin. Kaitlin clearly had issues. She was possessive of Colin, and to be fair, from what we do know, because remember, we don't know the real truth, but from what we do know, perhaps Colin needed to be more clear with Kaitlin. But either way, Kaitlin is to blame. If it wasn't Moriah, it might have been the next girl Colin was with. When I was researching this case, a lot of news articles would say that Kaitlin had drastic plastic surgery, but to me, she looks the same, really. She clearly has serious issues. She tried to escape twice. Does she really want to live a life on the run? Also, if you don't want to go to prison, why kill someone? Do people truly believe they're gonna get away with it? When they are committing the crime, are they like, "Yep, I'm totally gonna get away with this. I'm just gonna be able to live a normal life"? Love triangles are a cute name for serious bullshit. Does it ever end well? No, it doesn't. Women also have to learn never to kill for a man. Don't do it. There's plenty of fish out there. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys, and I will see you in next week's video. Besitos. Bye. Don't forget to download Screwjam, guys. If you download Screwjam using my link below or by scanning this QR code, you will also get 3 hours of infinite life and 100 coins.